What's up guys, Techmaster back with another video. So today we're going to be comparing the iPhone 13, 14, and 15 today. So as you guys know, 15 just came out in September. I just bought this green model of the phone. It's actually really nice. Then we have the 14 which came out last year, and then the 13 which came out 2 years ago. So if we compare the differences, they are all in the $100 price difference between them. So the 13 is $599, 14 is $699, and the 15 is $799. So let's go through some of the differences. So on the front, they have the same display, but the 15 can go up to 2000 nits of brightness, has the new dynamic island, and some couple other differences. Versus the 14 and 13 had the same brightness, same notch, and less bright screen. Now, they all have the same aluminum back, but the 15 has a frosted back versus the glossy standard glass on the other ones. They also have the ring silent switch. Only the 15 has the dynamic island, as I already mentioned. In terms of the processor, the 15 has the second latest A16 Bionic chip with a 5-core GPU. 14 has the previous A15 with the 5-core GPU from the 13 Pro, and then we have the standard A15 with the regular 13. Now in camera, this is where we get into some big differences. The 14 has a 12 megapixel main camera, ultra wide, and then the 15 has a 48 megapixel sensor, ultra wide, and then it gives high res 24 megapixel photos and 48 megapixels instead of only doing 12. And then they also have the next generation portraits and stuff like that. And the 15 also has an extra zoom option. It doesn't have a telephoto camera, but it has a 2x button, and you can digitally zoom to 10x and crop in the 48 megapixel sensor. Now, this is where there's some big differences between the 13 and the rest of the models. So, 13 does not have the satellite connection, the crash detection to the roadside via satellite. The 15 and the 14 get the same features in that sense. Now, powered battery. The 15 technically has the best battery life because the 14, yes, they're rated the same, but it has a larger battery, the 15, and it doesn't have battery degradation. Right now, like the 14, especially after using it for a year with the battery problem, it won't be as good, for sure. The 15, we might have this issue, but they fixed the thermals, and I feel like it's just going to be better overall. Because USB-C is also made for fast charging now versus Lightning wasn't as much made for it, so then we have USB-C on the 15, Lightning on the 13 and 14. So I personally love USB-C, and I would definitely recommend it. But yeah, if you have Lightning, it's fine. But they all have Face ID, all have the same 5G connection, same water resistance, same MagSafe chargers, all that stuff. So now we go into the display. So we have the dynamic island on the 15, obviously. HDR display, we already talked about that. 1600 nits, so it's 1000 typical brightness, 2000 nits outdoors, which is what I was mentioning before. That's really nice. The weight, the 14 is, oh wow, the 14 is actually heavier than the 13. And, oh, the 13 is actually the heaviest. What the heck? Wow, that means the 15 is so light. Yeah, it's 171 grams compared to 174 on the 13 and 172 on the 14. I actually was not expecting that. I thought the 15 was a little heavier, but apparently not. Yeah, I think but I'm surprised because the 15 has really big cameras and stuff like that, like big camera bumps and stuff. And so that would make them stick out more. And so, it's a little interesting. Um, Chip, we don't really need to discuss because they have the same sort of stuff. Just the 14 and 15 have the 5-core GPU, which is a lot better. If you watch Max Tech's video, he tests them, and it's about 50% faster for one extra core. It gives it a lot more graphics performance. Camera, we have the 48 megapixel, obviously, and f1.6 aperture. For the 48 megapixel, it's not as much as the um, f1.5 on the 14 for the main camera, but it still produces better quality because it's a much smaller sensor. They go out and get sensor shift, which is much better than regular optical image stabilization. The 14 and 15 have a photonic engine, which the 13 doesn't. They all have night mode, photographic styles, Smart HDR5. That's I forgot. That's the new 15 Smart HDR5. So that's excellent. Video recording. We oh yeah, action. We have action mode on the 14 and 15. The action mode is actually really good. It completely stabilizes your video. It's actually really nice. Front camera. The 15 has a newer f1.9 aperture compared to f2.2 on the 13. So yeah, it's pretty cool. They all work with the same carriers. Um, yeah, the same. Pretty much the same, and they have the same antennas, except for the 15 and 14 have Bluetooth 5.3 compared to um, Bluetooth 5.0. And oh yeah, and the 15 has a second generation ultra wideband chip, so it's gonna be better for tracking that sort of stuff if you need to. If we go to power and battery, it's basically the same as the 14, and the 13 is a little bit worse. But with that said, the 13 technically has a larger. It doesn't have a larger battery than the 15 or 14, but it does kind of get better battery life over time than the 14 because the 14 again has that battery issue. But with that said, yeah, still pretty much the same thing. And then oh yeah, and then the 14 and 15 have eSIM, obviously, no dual SIM cards, and that pretty much covers it up. So yeah, out of these, I will definitely tell you the 15 is clearly the one I would go for because it's only $100 more than the 14. You're getting dynamic island, brighter display, frosted glass back, USB Type C, 48 megapixel main cameras, better battery life, all that stuff. Like there's so many benefits of going for the 15 over the 14. Um, and to be completely honest, if you're gonna get the 14, just go for the 13. It makes a lot more sense. I would not buy the 14 or 14 plus. 14 plus maybe, but if you can get these phones for really good deals, but they're do not buy them from Apple because they're a waste of money from Apple because there's much better prices to even find it remotely better on that site. So anyway, guys, that pretty much covers it up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.